That should be us.
Sorted. Great. Well, thank you, Chris. Good morning, everybody, and nice to see you all. And very honoured to be asked to open up this very important subject. Anyone that follows me on LinkedIn will know that I'm a bit of a broken record when it comes to data and how we can get better at managing data in our organisations. So I'm Steve Alcock. I'm the Director for ICT Data and Digital at Johnny Johnson. I'd like to think I'm still relatively new to the housing sector, but believe it or not, I have been working for JJ for the last 12 months. I joined as a lockdown baby, and absolutely love this industry. It's an amazing place to work. Everybody is really open to sharing ideas. And I think one of my early observations coming into housing is that our data is quite poor. And that seems to be quite a systemic challenge across all housing associations. It's not unique to JJ. And for me, data is quite unstructured. I think organizations are struggling to understand why they need to capture data, what the benefit of doing so is. And it's about being able to really understand that data needs to drive everything in our organization, particularly after the last 12 months. Our residents' expectations and customer expectations have changed significantly in 12 months. We've seen how crucial digital is, for example, in terms of society, in terms of people staying connected. And as landlords, we have a responsibility to support our residents in more ways than one. And I think data is a real core essence of being able to provide a future-proof service to our customers so that we can understand who they are. My background is very much operational. I've developed lots of different digital transformation in multiple sectors. And it really frustrates me that even now in 2021, data is still seen as the poor relation. It's still seen as the afterthought whenever you go through change or any projects that you may deliver. It's not uncommon to tap someone on the shoulder in a project and say, how are you going to measure this when it goes live? And you'll get a bit of a blank expression because they haven't probably thought about the metrics and the reporting that needs to be put in place. So I think there's clearly some work to still do right across our organisation to understand how we can improve data. Similarly, I think when you go and speak to people on the front line and you go and talk to people who are speaking to customers every day, they don't really understand the importance of what they capture. So they don't really understand that the manual data that they capture has a downstream impact on our ability to make really important decisions at an exec or a board level. So there's clearly a bit of storytelling, I believe, that needs to happen across our organization. And that really is the crux of how I think we can tackle the cultural challenges around data. We can certainly look at the types of solutions that we need, the type of data warehouse capability. We can look at the quality, we can look at roles and responsibilities and the various different checkpoints in which data plays a crucial part in our decision making. But I think at its essence, from a cultural perspective, we have to tell the story. We have to help people understand why we capture data, the importance of doing so, and what happens if we don't capture data. Bring to life those good examples where we may have failed at something, we may have done something wrong, but that was because we didn't have the benefit of really robust, reliable data that enabled us to make the right decisions. So one of the things that I've been doing in the last 12 months, as well as really just finding my feet and trying to, really get to know the industry, is speaking to other housing associations, really understanding what maturity level they're at from a data perspective. Um, uh, and talking to a lot of organizations about a data management framework. And the framework, if you think of it in terms of layers of a cake, um, is a set of guiding principles that I believe are made up of various different components, both physical and otherwise. And it's something that you can really bind from a governance and controls perspective in your organization, but it includes people, it includes the culture, and it thinks about the different decisions and the different types of ways of working that we need to adapt to make our data more robust and more reliable. Um, I do actually have one visual. I don't have slides, but I have one visual that really hopefully brings that to life a little bit for everybody. Um, so hopefully you can see my screen. And in in the style of a house, in a housing association, for me, you can take a top-down or a bottom-up approach in terms of this framework. But if we start from the top, it's really understanding that strategic alignment. There's an argument about whether or not we need to have a data strategy, or actually, if we're trying to simplify our strategies and harmonize them, do we need to just have a golden thread that runs through our strategies that refers to data and the importance of it and what kind of data we want to capture? There's also an argument around departmental plans. So if like JJ, your departments have their own delivery plans that they work on, um, then this can be a really important way to make sure that all your departments are really thinking about the type of data that they capture and how they're housing, managing, and refining the quality of that information. From a governance perspective, and this is really where the cultural aspect sits, that's all about the way you bring that data to life. You know, data can be quite scary. It can feel very technical to anyone on the front line, those that are at the coal face of the organization. It can be quite off-putting. But I think being able to translate data into meaningful insight and meaningful reports, being able to take our people on that journey and help them understand why we capture this information, being able to look at our processes as well and make sure that data has a place at the table when it comes to making really important decisions. And then equally, looking at our policies, our procedures, making sure that we've got the right kind of center of excellence from a data point of view in all the controls that we have. From a management point of view, the third layer down, it's about standardizing where we store and manage that information. So looking at the types of inventories, how we aggregate and integrate that data, particularly within housing as we're starting to branch out into smart homes, tech-enabled care, M-health. You know, we're opening up to omni-channel, we're taking new streams of data in all the time. It's really important that we can aggregate all that information to create a really compelling picture of our residents, and equally thinking about how we manage that information. So that's also about looking at the roles and responsibilities in our business. We want to take data very seriously at JJ, and we're investing a lot of time in that space, but we don't have a central data function. So we don't have someone who is sitting at a head of service level that's responsible for data. We don't have a team of data analysts that are churning that data out into meaningful insights so that the business can then act upon it. So there's work there to be done in terms of making sure we've got the right people in the right roles and that we're investing in our data management. And then finally, our sources of data. And this, could be like Pandora's box or a can of worms, depending on how you look at it. But the source of data is really fundamental. We have to understand where all that information is coming from. You may find that you capture data really well in some certain aspects of your organization, but it's about bringing all that together, harmonizing data, looking at all the unstructured data that we capture, having honest conversations as well, where data is being captured really badly, thinking about, okay, well, how do we turn that round? How do we train, develop? How do we upskill people so that they start to capture data accurately? Because, and again, that comes back to that storytelling piece, helping people understand the important role they play when they capture data right at the front, how that impacts really important decisions that we make at the back. And then finally, the data aspect of, the digital aspect of our business. Digital has accelerated exponentially over the last 12 months. I'm fairly confident it will be high on all your agendas in terms of priority for the next 12 months and beyond. Digital has a huge potential to untap masses of new information, we need to make sure we're capturing that data accurately. We need to make sure that we're tagging the right pages on our websites, our portals, our mobile apps. We're understanding what our residents are doing on those pages, where they might fall off, where they may bounce, how we can tighten those key transactional journeys up and really try and make it a seamless experience for residents to self-serve online. All that information, again, is relatively new in some organizations. It may be more established in some of yours, but I think that's a really important area that as we accelerate digital transformation, we have to get better at being able to capture and manage all that information. And then finally, for me, from a cultural aspect, I believe, as I said earlier on, it really is about the story. It's about being able to embark on a journey of cultural change. It's about being able to address the way we think about data, how we capture it, and also how we use it. It's being able to invest in our skills and our capabilities to meet that thirst of knowledge. Also thinking about how we exercise a duty of care over our data. It's a valuable asset, but I don't think many people really realize that. And then finally, it's about how we conform to a set of data related industry standards. There's lots of different industry standards out there regarding data management, and it's about really understanding where you are in comparison to those standards and identifying those gaps and having those difficult conversations with yourselves about how you can bridge them. And that's it from me. I hope that stimulated some conversation.